Have you ever paused in your daily routine to truly consider the possibility that the one food you have come to idolize as your personal passport to vibrant health might, in fact, be a clandestine saboteur, subtly working against your best intentions? Take a moment and picture the contemporary wellness landscape, a world almost universally obsessed with a single creamy, verdant fruit. It has become the undisputed star of chic brunch menus, the fundamental core of countless nutrient-dense smoothies, and the ultimate edible symbol of a health-conscious and aspirational lifestyle. We are, of course, referring to the avocado, a fruit that has transcended its botanical classification to become a full-fledged cultural phenomenon. Americans, in a testament to this fervent embrace, now collectively devour more than 8 pounds of this fruit per person every single year, placing unwavering faith in its well-documented arsenal of heart-healthy monounsaturated fats, its substantial fiber content, and its rich profile of essential vitamins and minerals. But what if this global sensation, this green gold, possesses a far more complex and shadowed side than its pristine reputation suggests? What if the very food you deliberately reach for to nourish and fortify your body is, through a series of astonishingly common and deceptively simple mistakes, quietly and systematically undermining your long-term health and wellness goals, creating a baffling disconnect between your efforts and your results? This, in essence, is the great avocado paradox. Millions of people around the world are making a conscious, deliberate choice to incorporate avocados into their diet, genuinely believing it to be one of the most intelligent and beneficial dietary decisions they can possibly make. Yet, often without the slightest trace of awareness, they could be inadvertently setting themselves up for a disquieting cascade of negative health consequences, a spectrum of issues ranging from persistent and chronic digestive distress and inexplicable weight gain, to the sudden onset of severe allergic reactions and dangerously potent interactions with life-saving medications. The relentless engine of social media has catapulted the avocado to a near mythical status, portraying it as a kind of panacea, a cure-all to be lavishly slathered on artisanal toast and creatively blended into decadent desserts with a blissful, almost willful ignorance of its potential pitfalls. My name is Barbara O'Neill, and after dedicating more than a decade of my professional life to the intensive study of clinical nutrition, food toxicology, and public health safety, I have come to view the avocado as a profoundly fascinating and illuminating case study in how even the most celebrated and scientifically validated superfoods can, when misunderstood and misused, turn against us. It serves as a potent reminder that just because a food is natural does not automatically render it universally beneficial for every person, nor does it imply that consuming more of it is always a better strategy. Today, we are going to meticulously peel back the layers of myth and marketing to expose 6 critical, science-backed mistakes that could be actively derailing your health ambitions. If you are truly ready to unlock the secrets to harnessing the formidable power of this incredible fruit without unwittingly falling prey to its hidden and potentially hazardous traps, then let us dive deep into the essential knowledge that can empower this superfood to genuinely work for you and not insidiously against you. Let's begin our exploration with a secret that the avocado guards with remarkable efficiency. It comes equipped with its own sophisticated built-in defense mechanism, a naturally occurring fungicidal toxin known as persin. This complex, fat-soluble compound is not confined to a single, isolated part of the plant. Rather, it is systemically present throughout its entire biological structure. It can be found in the leaves, the bark, the pit, and even concentrated in the tough, leathery skin, often in much higher and more potent concentrations than in the creamy, palatable flesh we so eagerly consume. While the specific levels of persin present in the flesh of a properly ripened avocado are generally considered by toxicologists to be low enough to be safe for the vast majority of human consumers, the fact remains that it is still present, and we are ingesting it with every bite. This unavoidable reality raises a critically important and often unasked question. What are the potential long-term consequences of consistent, low-dose exposure to this compound for our bodies over many years? A particularly revealing laboratory study, the findings of which were published in peer-reviewed toxicology journals, provided a startling glimpse into this question. The study demonstrated that when isolated human white blood cells were directly exposed to a potent avocado extract within a controlled petri dish environment, the person within that extract induced observable genotoxic effects. Genotoxicity is the scientific term for damage inflicted upon a cell's genetic material, its DNA, a type of cellular injury that can disrupt normal function and replication. Now, it is crucial to emphasize that this finding is not a cause for widespread panic or a reason to swear off guacamole for the rest of your life. Our bodies, and particularly the sophisticated detoxification pathways within our liver, are incredibly well adapted and resilient, capable of filtering, processing, and neutralizing a wide array of such compounds from our environment and diet. However, the study's results do strongly suggest that a relentless, high-volume daily consumption of avocados might impose a significant and cumulative biochemical burden, especially for individuals who may have pre-existing liver conditions, compromised detoxification pathways, or a heightened genetic sensitivity to such toxins. The real-world evidence of persons' toxic potency is far more starkly and dramatically observed in the animal kingdom, where its effects are anything but subtle. For many species of birds, particularly pet birds like canaries and parakeets, exposure to even small amounts of avocado can be catastrophic, leading to a rapid and dangerous heartbeat, severe respiratory distress from fluid accumulation around the heart and lungs, and can ultimately prove fatal within a very short period. In larger mammals, such as goats, horses, and cattle, the ingestion of significant quantities of avocado leaves or pits has been definitively linked to serious cardiac problems and painful inflammation of the mammary glands, a condition known as mastitis. While it is true that humans possess a far greater physiological resilience to person, the factor of individual sensitivity remains a crucial and largely unpredictable variable. The practical and actionable takeaway from this information is therefore twofold. First, and most importantly, you should never, under any circumstances, consume the leaves, bark, or pit of the avocado, regardless of any trendy or anecdotal advice you may encounter online, suggesting they can be ground into a powder or steeped into a tea for health benefits. These parts contain the highest concentrations of person and pose a genuine risk. Secondly, if you are a very frequent daily avocado consumer, it would be wise to consider adopting a more cyclical approach to your consumption, for example, eating them for 5 consecutive days and then taking a deliberate 2-day break. This simple rhythm allows your body, especially your liver, a valuable opportunity to fully process and clear the compound, preventing potential accumulation. Pay close, mindful attention to any subtle signals from your body, such as persistent, unexplained fatigue, unusual skin flare-ups or rashes, or chronic low-grade digestive issues, as these could be your body's nuanced way of signaling that it is feeling overburdened and that it's time to temporarily pull back. In the vast and often confusing world of modern wellness, the avocado proudly wears a radiant and almost impenetrable health halo, and in many fundamental ways, it has certainly earned this esteemed reputation. But concealed beneath that glowing aura of virtue lies a dense and frequently overlooked reality. Avocados are an incredibly rich and concentrated source of calories. A single large Hass avocado, the most common variety found in supermarkets, can pack a surprisingly powerful punch of approximately 320 calories, and sometimes even more. To put that figure into a more relatable context, that is a higher caloric load than a standard glazed donut from a popular chain, a full-sized candy bar, or a 12-ounce can of sugary soda. Because it is universally perceived and marketed as a healthy food, it becomes remarkably, almost deceptively, easy to overindulge without a moment's hesitation or a shred of guilt, all while operating under the sincere belief that you are doing your body a profound favor. This is precisely where the well-intentioned path to good health can take an unexpected and frustrating detour, leading directly toward unintentional and often baffling weight gain. While a wealth of credible scientific studies has indeed confirmed that avocados can serve as a powerful and effective ally in weight management and even weight loss, this significant benefit is entirely contingent upon one single critical factor that a vast number of health-conscious individuals consistently miss: strict adherence to appropriate portion size. The body of scientific evidence paints a far more nuanced and detailed picture than the one you are likely to encounter scrolling through your social media feed, which is often filled with images of entire avocados piled onto toast or blended into smoothies. One particularly notable and well-designed study, published in the prestigious Journal of the American Heart Association, meticulously followed a group of participants who were instructed to eat one whole avocado every single day for a period of 6 months. The conclusive result of this intervention was that these participants experienced no significant weight gain compared to a control group, which powerfully demonstrates that incorporating avocados into a balanced diet can be done without adverse effects on weight, but it does not grant a free pass to consume them without limit. An even larger-scale investigation, the long-running Adventist Health Study, which has followed thousands of individuals over many years, discovered a strong correlation showing that regular avocado eaters tended to have a lower overall body weight, a lower body mass index, BMI, and a smaller waist circumference. But here is the absolutely crucial and often omitted detail from that finding. These impressive health benefits were directly associated with very modest daily servings, averaging approximately 32 grams per day. This translates to just about 1/4 of a medium-sized avocado, a far cry from the whole fruit portions commonly consumed. The lesson from this rigorous science is unequivocally clear. When we subconsciously strip avocados of their caloric identity and treat them as a free or guilt-free food, liberally adding them to every salad, sandwich, and smoothie, we can effortlessly and unknowingly consume hundreds upon hundreds of extra calories each day, effectively turning a valuable tool for weight management into a primary and insidious driver of weight gain. For millions of people worldwide, a seemingly harmless and delicious bite of fresh avocado can unexpectedly trigger a confusing, alarming, and deeply uncomfortable allergic reaction. This baffling and often misdiagnosed phenomenon is known in the medical community as latex fruit syndrome, and it originates from a fascinating and unfortunate case of mistaken identity occurring deep within the body's complex immune system. The underlying mechanism is one of molecular mimicry. Specific proteins found in avocados, most notably compounds that belong to a family called class I chitinases, and others known as patatin-like proteins, bear a striking and uncanny structural resemblance to the allergenic proteins present in natural rubber latex, which is derived from the sap of the Hevea brasiliensis tree. For an individual who has already developed a latex allergy, their immune system is perpetually on high alert, primed with specific IgE antibodies designed to identify and aggressively attack these particular latex proteins. When that person then consumes an avocado, their body's hypervigilant defense system becomes confused. It is unable to distinguish between the harmless fruit proteins and the targeted latex allergens, misidentifying the avocado proteins as the same dangerous threat and consequently launching a full-scale, aggressive allergic response. The population group at risk for this cross-reactivity extends far beyond just those individuals with a known, severe, and diagnosed latex allergy. It also includes a much broader demographic, such as healthcare workers, dental professionals, food handlers, professional cleaners, and anyone with frequent and prolonged occupational exposure to latex gloves or medical equipment, many of whom may harbor a low-grade subclinical sensitivity to latex that they are not even consciously aware of. In fact, this is often how the underlying allergy is first discovered, not through direct contact with a balloon or a rubber glove, but rather after experiencing a perplexing reaction to eating certain foods like avocado, banana, kiwi, or chestnut. The symptoms can manifest in a variety of ways, often beginning subtly with what is known as oral allergy syndrome, characterized by an immediate itching or tingling sensation in the mouth, on the tongue, and in the back of the throat. From there, the reaction can progress to more visible and distressing symptoms, including angioedema, swelling of the lips, tongue, and face, or the development of localized rashes and hives, urticaria. In more severe and frightening cases, however, the reaction can rapidly escalate into a life-threatening medical emergency known as anaphylaxis. This systemic reaction is characterized by widespread hives, severe difficulty breathing due to bronchial constriction and swelling of the airways, a dangerously rapid heartbeat, a precipitous drop in blood pressure, and profound dizziness or loss of consciousness. Shockingly, extensive scientific studies and clinical data have revealed that up to 53% of individuals with a confirmed latex allergy also test positive for avocado-specific antibodies, making the avocado one of the most common and potent trigger foods for this particular cross-reactive syndrome. Given the potential severity of such a reaction, if you have any history of reacting to latex products or have any reason whatsoever to suspect you might have a latex allergy, it is absolutely essential and non-negotiable to speak with a qualified allergist for proper testing and guidance before you consider making avocados a regular component of your diet. This next critical mistake is one of the most frequently and casually overlooked, yet it carries a significant and very real food safety risk that begins its journey long before the avocado even arrives on your kitchen counter. Avocados are predominantly grown in hot, humid, and tropical climates, the very conditions that provide the perfect, fertile breeding ground for a whole host of potentially harmful pathogens. Their thick, bumpy, dark green, and seemingly impenetrable skin may appear to be a formidable suit of armor, but it is actually a highly porous surface covered in countless tiny, microscopic crevices and fissures. These minute nooks and crannies create the ideal hiding places for dangerous bacteria such as Salmonella, Listeria monocytogenes, and certain strains of E. coli to settle, shelter, and multiply during the growing, harvesting, and transportation processes. The most critical and widespread error that people make is operating under the false assumption that since they do not consume the skin, there is absolutely no need to wash the exterior of the fruit. This is a profoundly dangerous misconception that can have serious health consequences, particularly for vulnerable populations. The very moment you take a knife and slice into an unwashed avocado, that knife blade effectively becomes a vehicle for mass contamination. It picks up and drags any and all bacteria that might be lingering on the skin's textured surface directly through the protective barrier and into the pristine, nutrient-rich flesh that you are just moments away from eating. This single, simple act can turn a perfectly healthy fruit into a potential source of foodborne illness. In response to this known hazard, food safety authorities, including the United States Food and Drug Administration, FDA, have issued explicit and repeated warnings to consumers about this specific risk. These warnings were prompted by their own extensive testing programs, which involved sampling thousands of avocados sold in American supermarkets. The results of these tests were alarming, revealing the detectable presence of these dangerous pathogens not only on the skin, but also, disconcertingly, in the pulp of the fruit itself, confirming that cross-contamination is not just a theoretical possibility, but a documented reality. The risk of contracting a foodborne illness skyrockets if the fruit is not washed properly before cutting, or if it is left to sit out at room temperature for an extended period after being sliced open, as the ambient warmth allows any introduced bacteria to proliferate rapidly. To adequately protect yourself and your family, you must adopt a simple but entirely non-negotiable food safety routine. Always, without exception, rinse your avocados thoroughly under cool, running water, and then gently but firmly scrub the entire surface of the skin with a clean produce brush before you even think about cutting into it. Furthermore, it is imperative to always use a clean knife and a clean cutting board specifically for this purpose to prevent cross-contamination from other foods, particularly raw meats. Once the avocado has been sliced, you should store any leftover portions in a truly airtight container in the refrigerator immediately and make it a priority to consume them within a day or two at most. While the overall statistical risk of experiencing a severe illness from a single contaminated avocado is relatively low for a healthy individual with a robust immune system, it is crucial to remember that the risk is not zero, and it becomes a much more significant and serious threat for older adults, pregnant women, for whom listeria is particularly dangerous, young children, and anyone with a compromised or suppressed immune system. An avocado resting on your plate or blended into your morning smoothie seems to be the very picture of health and innocence. But for a significant number of individuals taking certain common and widely prescribed medications, it can covertly create a cascade of serious, unexpected, and potentially life-threatening complications, a critical risk that is very rarely discussed during routine medical appointments or pharmacy consultations. The first major area of profound concern is for anyone who is on a regimen of blood-thinning medications, such as the long-established drug warfarin, brand name Coumadin, or any of the newer direct oral anticoagulants. Avocados contain a moderate but significant amount of vitamin K, a fat-soluble nutrient that plays an absolutely essential and central role in the body's complex blood-clotting cascade. In fact, these anticoagulant medications are specifically designed to work by limiting or interfering with vitamin K's activity in the liver, thereby preventing the formation of dangerous and potentially fatal blood clots in patients at risk for stroke or deep vein thrombosis. The effectiveness of these drugs relies entirely on maintaining a stable and consistent level of vitamin K in your diet, as this is the baseline that your doctor uses to carefully calibrate your precise dosage. If you suddenly introduce a daily avocado into your diet where there was none before, you can inadvertently flood your system with an extra dose of vitamin K, which can effectively counteract your medication's intended purpose and dangerously increase your risk of forming a life-threatening blood clot. Conversely, if you are a regular daily avocado eater and your medication dosage has been adjusted to account for that, and then you abruptly stop eating them, your blood can become far too thin, dramatically elevating your risk of a spontaneous and severe bleeding event, such as internal hemorrhaging. The second major interaction involves the avocado's impressively high potassium content. A single cup of sliced avocado can contain around 975 milligrams of potassium, which is significantly more than a large banana. For most healthy people, this is a tremendous cardiovascular benefit, but for those taking specific types of medications like ACE inhibitors, e.g. lisinopril, ARBs, e.g. losartan, or certain potassium-sparing diuretics, e.g. spironolactone, for high blood pressure or heart failure, it can spell serious trouble. These drugs already work by causing the body to retain more potassium, and adding a potassium-rich food like avocado on top of that can tip the delicate electrolyte balance into a dangerous state known as hyperkalemia, or excessively high potassium levels in the blood. The symptoms of this condition can include profound muscle weakness, nausea, and most alarmingly, an irregular heartbeat or cardiac arrhythmias, and in severe acute cases, it can lead to full-blown cardiac arrest. Furthermore, for the millions of individuals actively managing type 2 diabetes, the very high fiber content in avocados can significantly slow down the digestion and absorption of oral diabetes medications taken at the same time, potentially blunting their effectiveness and making blood sugar levels more erratic and difficult to control. Simultaneously, their abundance of healthy fats can enhance the body's sensitivity to insulin. While this sounds like a purely positive effect, It can cause unexpected and dangerously sharp drops in blood sugar, a condition known as hypoglycemia, which poses a significant and immediate risk for anyone taking insulin or other glucose-lowering drugs. Given these serious potential interactions, it is absolutely imperative to consult your primary healthcare provider or pharmacist before making avocados a daily staple in your diet if you take any of these categories of medication. This final, crucial mistake is perhaps the most personal, nuanced, and profoundly underestimated of them all. It is the simple but fundamental failure to listen attentively to your own body and to honestly acknowledge how you, as a unique individual, personally react to eating avocados. In our collective cultural rush to embrace any food that is labeled as healthy, we often fall into the trap of adopting a one-size-fits-all mentality, operating under the flawed assumption that if a particular food is demonstrably good for most people, then it must, by extension, be good for us. However, our bodies are not standardized machines. They are incredibly complex and unique ecosystems, and our tolerance for any given food can vary dramatically based on a complex interplay of our genetics, the specific composition of our gut microbiome, our current state of health, and even our age. For a significant portion of the population, avocados can be a surprising source of considerable discomfort, rather than a source of nourishment and well-being. Their extremely high fiber content, which can be around 13.5 grams in a single whole fruit, can come as a major shock to a digestive system that is not accustomed to such a large fibrous load, frequently leading to uncomfortable and socially awkward symptoms like bloating, excessive gas, and sharp abdominal pain. Beyond the issue of simple fiber, avocados contain a notable amount of sorbitol, a type of sugar alcohol that is scientifically classified as a FODMAP, an acronym for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. This group of short-chain carbohydrates is notorious for being poorly absorbed in the small intestine and rapidly fermented by gut bacteria, which can wreak havoc on particularly sensitive guts. For individuals diagnosed with conditions like irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, consuming even a small serving of avocado can be enough to trigger days of severe cramping, painful bloating, and disruptive digestive distress. Another important consideration is the presence of histamine. As avocados ripen and soften, their natural histamine content steadily increases. For the growing number of people who suffer from histamine intolerance, a condition where the body lacks sufficient amounts of the enzyme, diamine oxidase, needed to effectively break down this inflammatory compound, eating a very ripe avocado can lead to a host of confusing and seemingly unrelated symptoms, including debilitating headaches or migraines, itchy skin rashes, persistent nasal congestion, and even powerful anxiety-like feelings or heart palpitations. Furthermore, some individuals with common environmental pollen allergies, particularly to birch pollen, may experience a cross-reactive condition known as oral allergy syndrome, OAS. This condition causes an immediate, localized allergic reaction, such as intense itching or mild swelling in the mouth, on the lips, and in the throat, upon eating a raw avocado due to the similarity between the proteins in the fruit and the pollen. The most effective and reliable way to truly understand your personal tolerance is to become a mindful and diligent observer of your own body's feedback. This can be as simple as keeping a basic food journal, carefully noting what you ate, approximately how much you consumed, and any physical or emotional symptoms that appear in the following 24 to 48 hours. This practice of self-observation can help you uncover hidden patterns and determine the precise amount of avocado, if any, that is right for you, allowing you to personalize your diet for optimal well-being.